What's up, YouTube? dubkdadone Team TKF. I want to talk to you guys about the new exceed mechanic rulings. There's been quite a few videos floating around YouTube, guys talking about it. I'd just like to give my take on it, what I think. First of all, I want to say it's kind of fucked up. Once again, Konami Digital Entertainment, KDE, is at odds with Konami of Japan, KOJ. We would like for the game to be unified like Magic. You know, in Magic you can be in Russia or you can be in Brazil and you play the same game. You can use the same cards. You can use Russian cards while you're living in America, and they're still legal. But they just refuse to do that for us. The headaches, you know, that are associated with those guys not keeping things evened out. You know, OCG exclusive, TCG exclusive, Army Arm Colossal. You know, it no longer works here. Summoning a monster with an ignition effect and retaining priority to activate that. It disappeared in Japan a format or so ago. We still have it here. And, you know, going into Worlds, I feel sorry for the TCG players and feel sorry for the judges, and I feel sorry for the OCG players because they're going to have to sort that out. And one of the sides are going to be in a disadvantage because they've gotten used to one way or the other, and it's going to make for some confusing times. So I would just really wish they would get that shit together. All right, so what does all this mean? All right, so let's say that I have my winged rhinos on the field. Yeah, ring rhinos, whatever. And I summon my Tengu. Now, when I overlay and exceed summon, exceeds for my Utopia, it used to be several days ago that at this point, according to OCG rulings, that overlay materials, are no longer monsters, and they are no longer on the field. So at that point, I would special summon the Tengu. But here in the TCG, that is not the case. Overlay materials are still on the field, so you do not get a Tengu if you exceed with it. However, activating the effect of an exceeds monster like Utopia or Steel Swarm Roach, you know, a detach. As a card, it's on the field. Now, as a card, it's off the field. And at that point, I would special summon the Tengu. That's kind of freaky, but that's how it is, and you gotta live with it. Now, is that a problem? Not so much, but let's consider some other interactions. I have my Mizuki, summon my Goblin Zombie. Exceed summon, overlay, exceeds for Utopia again. Now, when I activate Utopia's effect and they gain an attack as a card, Goblin Zombie is still on the field, but now it's going to be detached, activated Utopia's effect. What does that mean? Well, it went from the field to the graveyard. That'll activate Goblin Zombie's effect, and I'll get the search. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that just that's gonna make for an interesting format, being able to do that, especially in this scenario. Summon Tour Guide, search Sangan, overlay exceed summon for Grinosaurus. But let's say that instead of Grinosaurus, that's Leviathan Dragon, or however they're going to call it now. So after I exceed summon, I can immediately detach my Sangan, making my Leviathan Dragon a 2500 beater. Sangan goes to the graveyard. If I'm running plants, I can immediately search for my Dandelion, play my 1-for-1 and get combos going, or search for an Effect Veiler to protect my setup, search for DD Crow, search for Max C, or search for anything for that matter, and just keep things going. And I feel sorry for the guys going into the Gen Con without tour guides, because these things were hovering around the $80 to $100 range, and with this new clarification to the rulings, I think the price is about to reach pot of duality status when it was at its peak. So that's kind of nasty. So right now my head is hurting because of these guys. Well, partially because of these guys. So let's say these two guys reside in my graveyard. I'll stack a monster for Plague special summon. I have control a tuner, activate Quillbolt. Now in the OCG, I can overlay and summon my Hoochie Coochie Gentetsu. And again, in OCG, overlay materials are not considered on the field. They're in that zone that they haven't told me what it's called, but it's the overlay material zone, whatever the fuck. When I detach, activating Hoochie Coochie Gentetsu's effect in the OCG, it'll just simply be placed in the graveyard, do it again, and then I can bring this back, start that all over again. But in the TCG, remember, these materials are on the field. So would that mean that these guys get banished when they're detached? If you guys can answer that, I mean, that's kind of crazy. So once again, we're seriously at odds. I mean, because that's a ruling that needs to be cleared up like ASAP. Because if they say these guys go to the graveyard, then it makes Tengu not make sense, and it makes Sangin and Goblin Zombie not make sense. Finally, talk to you guys about Macrocosmos or Banisher versus Dimensional Fissure. Now again, remember, when these guys are overlay or exceed materials, they're on the field, but they do not exist as monsters. They just exist as overlay material. So when they're detached under Dimensional Fissure, they're just cards, not spells or traps or monsters. They're just, quote, cards or exceeds materials. So Sangin will be sent to the graveyard and I'll get to search. Goblin Zombie will be sent to the graveyard and I'll get to search. Now, of course, that's different from Banisher because it says remove all cards. So from what I understand, they would get removed and you would not get to search because these guys are not sent to the graveyard. Again, I haven't seen the official word on this. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe, it's another Konami because Konami said so, and they'll still get to go to the graveyard. But if you guys know the definite answer to that, please comment below and let me know. At the conclusion of this video, you guys check out my blog. The link will be somewhere in the underbar. I have a lot of interesting content going up there, and stay tuned for other videos. Good luck in Indy, guys. Everybody that's gone there. And good luck at the sneak peek. Hope you pack good shit. Dubkdadone, Team DKF, and I'm out.